Good evening and thank you very much for joining us once again for your favorite sports show, The Scoreboard. Now, this is a show that takes you inside what's going on in the world of sports, around what's going on in the world of sports, and also deep behind what's going on in the world of sports. And this week has been another week that was full of action and full of tribulations, both on the field and off the field. Let me give you the highlights of some of what we'll be discussing today. Number one, rugby is firmly in the highlights. That's because Kenya is hosting the World Under-20 Rugby Championship starting at the Nyayo National Stadium on Saturday. Be there to root for Kenya's Chipukizi. Plus the fact that now Kabras revenged their defeat in Kisumu in the Dallas Sevens by winning the Driftwood Sevens that was in Mombasa. We'll have details of what happened in there, who scored what tries and at what time, and that will be one of the highlights. The other one is that the Kenya National Athletics Trials were held over the weekend. That's last weekend. Now, the team that is going to the World Athletics Championships in Budapest in Hungary has been selected. It comprises some world beaters, but it also has some juniors who are posting some very good times and who are also expected to bring in the medals for the country. So it was a mini Olympics, as you know, whenever Kenya is hosting the trials. And it happened at the same time when the US was holding their trials as well. Jamaica was holding their trials as well. So some very impressive, results in all, and especially in the Kenya National Athletic Trials. We'll talk about that in just one while. Now, if you think that bans are over, then there's one looming over the weekend, and that is the one that is coming from aquatics world, and that is the swimming ban. The Kenya Swimming Federation is in trouble one more time. They didn't hold the elections on time. We don't know whether it's the court cases that is stopping them. We don't know whether it's the factions that want things to go one way or the other. You can actually say that things in swimming have gone gagna. Inexplicable and very difficult to understand, but we'll have someone to explain to us exactly what is going on. So that's the highlights. I am Bernard Otieno. I am not alone here. I am in the company of some very good men, but as usual, we always want you to be part of the conversation in what we are talking about. And this time round, just a word of encouragement to Kenya's Chipukizi for rugby. Why don't you give me that word? I am at Bernard_sports. And then Ken Chege will be at KChege_sports, and the captain Wilfred Bungei is at Wilfred Bungei. So that's what I would like you to give us today. Just a word of encouragement to the Chipukizi who will be playing the World Athletics Championships, in the World Rugby Championships, in the Under-20 Championships. Let me introduce the team. The cool kid, Ken Chege. Ken, how are you? Good, thank you. You don't look like you went to the barbers this time round.
I did, only that
You're paying him half.
The weather is a little
so he left something for you on the...
yes, he's protecting me.
Had a good week, you take us off then. What worked out for you?
A fantastic week, and what worked for me worked this afternoon. It was just a very good sentimental feeling to see Harambee Stars being on the draw for the 2026 World Cup, Africa World Cup qualifiers. And they've been grouped in Group F against Seychelles, Cote d'Ivoire, Gabon, Gambia, and Burundi. Whether we can make it or not doesn't matter. For me, seeing Harambee Stars there after all this, after 2 years, I think is
this is where we go wrong. What do you mean whether we do well or not?
Doesn't matter.
No.
The step is we are there.
I totally refuse. We have to get out of that mentality. We are not going there to get certificates of participation. We've got to go there to win. We've got to get there to win games.
Now we are there.
Yes, that's important to say. So that worked for you. Excellent. Captain Wilfred Bungei, you have been in this before. The World Athletics Championships team was selected over the weekend. And I know you'll have a comment on that, but what worked for you this week?
Well, actually, what worked is basically what was happening over the weekend at Nyayo Stadium. My biggest happiness going to the World Championships is that we have new kids, teenagers, that have already met a team, and that is in 1500 meters women by Nelly Chepchirchir and Penina Motisha on the 800 meters. Every now and then when you see the young people coming up and at least teenagers making, it means we are going to have a very good performance.
There are two other teenagers we'll talk about as well. One is in the steeplechase, and she's still a Form 4 student as well, and only 18 years old. And another one as well, Faith Chepchirchir. We'll talk about them when we come to that. Anything else that worked for you? What didn't work for you?
Well, actually, I didn't have much.
Okay, everything worked for you.
Yeah.
It's good always when something works for you. No news is good news sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Angelo Okutoi lost, I had to say that.
Is she playing in the Wimbledon?
No, she's playing in the Tunisia A30.
Oh, right. Okay.
But she's in the semis in the women's doubles.
Okay,
tomorrow.
That's news now. Now that's not something that didn't work for you. That's just news, eh?
Her loss didn't work.
One of the biggest news that worked for me in the week is the fact that the 100 meters women's world record is at stake at the moment. The times that were posted by Sherika Jackson, by Sha'Carri Richardson, 10.71, 10.65, the Jamaican championships and the US championships point to the fact that that record, especially actually the 100 and the 200 meters records, might fall at the World Championships, just judging by the times. Sha'Carri posted 10.71 and Sherika posted 10.65. And then there's Marie-Jose Talu as well. So we'll watch out for that and see what is going to happen there. Now, the thing that did not work out for me is the news that the Harambee Stars coach, Engin Firat, even as you're talking about Harambee Stars being there, has not been paid for 8 months. You know, in as much as we don't like to talk about money, it's the biggest motivator on earth. If you don't get a salary, it's very difficult to work. That didn't work out for me, but we hope that things are going to turn and change. Well, that's it then. Let's get into the discussion for tonight. And we'll start off with rugby and the Driftwood Sevens. Last week, it was Kabras and KCB in Kisumu, where KCB then were reigning supreme over there and getting the better of everybody else. But this time round in Mombasa, it was the Kabras side that beat Menengai Oilers 10-7 in the finals. It was a little bit of a revenge, wasn't it, Ken?
Yes, it was. And to see that this actually went to the final, to extra time, because they were tied 7-all. Kabras is really a powerhouse. They've surprised everyone. And their loss in Kisumu during the Dallas Sevens seems to have been just, one of those bad days, and they're headed places. So, I don't know. Let's wait and see what happens in Prince.
Yes, you have some...
I think especially when you're talking about the Sugarman, that is Kabras, if you look for them, they are trying to improve Bernard because remember that the last, they were in the semi-finals where they lost to KCB, and I think, this time around they are in for a revenge on this. Yeah.
So now they're topping the log at the moment, with that 10-7 win. Now they have to credit their win to one man, Dennis Abukuse. He scored a try and converted his own try. Now that helped them. And then Kevin Wekesa, who had a try, but which was converted by Barry Robinson. And this made them now celebrate and a revenge as well. So Kabras 12-7, Strathmore Leos had been beaten by Kabras before. And then in the other semi-final, Menengai Oilers had beaten KCB 17-12. So KCB was not doing very well there. In the quarters, Kabras had beaten Nondis 21-0.
Just imagine. I don't know. Nondis, that was a real shocker.
21-0. They just didn't do it. But that's not even bad. Strathmore Leos now beat Queens 22-0.
22-0.
It tells you, Bernard, the kind of preparation that they have prepared, especially for the Strathmore, it tells you that these teams have prepared, for the trophy, for the big trophy for them to win.
Absolutely.
And that's why.
But it also points at a resurgence of now rugby again at a time when we had a downturn.
Yes.
Well, remember that the national team, is where we have a problem, and I think what will be very important moving to the future is to pick those players who are doing very well, because the scouters who are manning the national team should be able to go there and see who is in a better position for them to be able to represent the country, and at least we can get back the glory that we used to have.
And when you see the crowds,
as we move into rugby and still some more, we still talk about rugby. On our second story, we're talking about now the Rugby World Cup, the Under-20 Rugby World Cup, which is being held in Kenya. Not the first time; it's the second time it's being held here. Actually, the third time that it's being held in Africa, because Zimbabwe has also held it before. And there are 8 teams that have already arrived into the country for that. Now, Chipukizi, that is the Kenya national team, is going to be there. Yes.
Chipu is the Kenya team. Now, this is the Under-20 World Cup trophy. This is a little different from the championship, but nevertheless a trophy as well. Now,
you have a way of just making things look sweet. You have a way of just downgrading things. What do you mean nevertheless a trophy?
Our team has a very good chance, Bernard. We won the Pathers Cup in April.
Yes.
So these boys have been together. Yes, they are playing against, relatively stronger sides in the signs of USA, Samoa, and,
Yes.
and Uruguay. I think those are the ones who have won this trophy before.
Yes,
I think, Bernard,
Captain.
what I pick myself, especially from the team captain, that is Laban Kipsang, he mentioned, and I say this because it's very important for their team captain to be so enthusiastic, and he has already stated that the team is actually very ready and they want to represent Kenya. They are talking about, making Kenya proud, and I think if you have a team captain that can be able to unite these guys, I can assure you, Bernard.
Let's look at the teams first of all. There are 8 teams that are taking
Yes.
part in this tournament, and Kenya is in Pool B. Now, in Pool B, we know we have Hong Kong, China. I think that we should just call them Hong Kong, and Samoa. Those are not usually pushovers. And we've got Scotland, we've got Spain in that group as well.
Yeah.
Now, that is not an easy group by any chance as well.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at a country like Samoa and Hong Kong, for example, they are big teams. And remember that even with the seniors, they are doing very well. And that is why I think as much as we want to be very enthusiastic about our team, Jipu, of course, they have a very strong team. For them to be able to proceed to the next level will be a lot of work to do.
Well, okay, so
Samoa
this
has
Pool
won
B then has...
Italy.
Pool A now has Scotland, Uruguay, USA, and Zimbabwe. Now, remember, Zimbabwe are the defending champions, so they are not a pushover as well. So that is a very difficult group as well, isn't it?
Yes, it's a very good, difficult group, Bernard.
If you look-
If you the winner of this, there's only one winner, so to speak. The trophy is, to qualify for the
What's
next.
the order of play? What's the order of play on Saturday?
The order of play on Saturday is that Scotland plays Zimbabwe at 10 a.m.
That's the first
That's
game.
the first game. Then we take on Samoa, Kenya
We is
at
who?
noon. We are Kenya. Bernard.
Oh, you say Kenya then?
Kenya
takes
take on
who?
Samoa at noon,
On Samoa, okay.
and then Uruguay play
When it comes
USA.
to sports, it could be Samoa. You are always Arsenal. You're not, when you say we don't know if you're talking as Arsenal. Or you're talking
I
as
agree with
Liverpool.
you.
Yeah.
Uruguay play USA at 2 o'clock.
Okay.
And Spain play Hong Kong at 4 o'clock.
So we have to root for Chipukizi and hoping that things are going to work for them in this one. This is one of those events that you don't want to miss. Now, what happens to the winner? You are talking about the winner being one. What happens?
So the team that wins this tournament qualifies for the Under-20 World Cup championship.
That's 2024.
That's 2024.
Yeah.
That's the higher level. And whoever loses in that tournament is relegated to the trophy tournament.
to this one now.
To this tournament,
Yeah,
yes.
and I think that is going on now in South Africa.
Yes.
This championship that you're talking about is going on in South Africa. I think it ends Friday, tomorrow.
Yes, it ends tomorrow.
And I think France was still in the running to be able to win it. In fact, France was playing Ireland, and France won the semis 53-31, and we're looking at a historic win for a 3rd successive title. So we'll see what happens in that as well, but we wish the Chipukizi all the best in the Under-20 Rugby World Cup. Now let's move on to something else that is really exciting the Kenyans, and where Kenyans usually reap the maximum when we talk about athletics. The National Athletics Trials were held last weekend. Now, this is usually like a mini Olympics. And this time round, Athletics Kenya made it very clear. If you want to be in the World Championship, you must be at the Athletics Trials. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter where you are. You must participate here. You must go into camp immediately. You must bring your passport and all your travel documents. They laid down the rules, didn't they?
Yeah,
Captain?
absolutely. If you look at in the past, somebody who has got a wild card can choose, not to compete.
Yes.
But I like the fact that, Athletics Kenya stood their ground.
Now, let's demystify the wild card. The wild card is given to who?
Yeah, the wild card is basically for the person who
World
won the World Championships in the past one.
Yes,
Not to forget about the Olympics.
the defending.
Yes,
world
the defending.
champion. Yes.
Always it has to be the defending champion gets a wild card because
Yes.
going to the
Gets an
World
automatic
the World
entry.
Championships, World Athletics body invites that athlete automatically because they are going to defend.
Directly, yes.
And therefore, it gives also the beauty of it, Bernard, is that for those countries who are able to put so many athletes, you find a situation whereby you can be able to enter 4 athletes,
Yes.
which it will work for the team because
Yes,
when you have
yes.
4 against, let's say,
So it promotes the individual athlete.
Yes,
but in terms of the country medals as well and the team spirit, then it dampens it a bit. Now, let's take a little example here. Faith Kipyegon is in that team. She is a world champion, double world champion. Okay?
Record holder, world record
And she's
holder.
also the record holder.
Yeah.
But she was at the trials, wasn't she?
She was at the trial. She decided to run the 5,000.
Yes, but
That
she's
she-
doubling at the World
Yeah,
Championships.
absolutely, she's doubling. But I think the choice for her to run the 5,000 was far much better because remember this: what you are supposed to do as an individual athlete, Bernard. Number one is when you are a shorter distance. The best way in a competition like this, whereby you just need to qualify, you choose to run a longer distance. Then, when during the World Championships, at least she will be in a better position. And I think we are almost assured of both medals from Faith Kipyegon, looking at the performance that she has had in the past few days.
I think we're just watching Beatrice Chepkoech of 3,000 meter steeplechase, and she's also going to be there. I think it's a very good gesture that she's doubling because she's a world champion and world record holder in both. And she can go and do well in both. There's nothing wrong with her offering to double in that, is there?
No, in fact, she is the world record holder in both. I wouldn't want her to have to choose which one to do and which one not to do. And I think for Kenya, that is an advantage.
Well, if she chooses
And
both, there's no
She
problem.
chooses
Yeah,
both.
she's chosen,
Remember-
she has chosen both, all
Bernard,
right? And I'm happy with that.
Remember Siva Hassan, doubled
Yes,
before,
yes,
and
yes,
she was
Siva
able to do
Hassan,
it.
yes,
So
yes.
why can we give a chance to Faith?
No, she has been given a chance. There's no
She
question
has.
about that.
She is.
In fact, I wanted us to talk more about the juniors, the youngsters who are there. Now, one of them is running in the steeplechase, 3,000 meter steeplechase. And we've got Faith Cherotich, okay, who is there. She's going to run the steeplechase. She's been in the World Under-20 Championship. She's got a bronze and a gold in the World Under-20. And she was also there in the World Cross Country Championship. So this is also a very good chance for the youngsters to show themselves.
Let me tell you something that happens, especially with the young people. Most of the time, when they go to a competition and you see the way they are competing, they have nothing to lose. Because most of the time, what I've witnessed myself, when you have a young athlete, they can run whatever way they want. You see, for the senior athletes, they are more conservative. They have competed with some of the guys that they are going to compete together for a very long time, and therefore they do understand the kind of tactics. But when you have a junior person, chances is that person is able to perform very
What
well.
will happen in the 800 meters? This was your specialty. You won a gold medal at the Olympics with this 800 meters. We've got Emmanuel Wanyonyi. We've got another Emmanuel as well, Korir, I think. And who else?
Rotich.
And Ferguson Rotich.
And
But is
Alex.
Ferguson is,
Yes.
Yeah, Ferguson
is
finish,
and Alex
is
Ngeno.
he in the main team?
Third.
Yes, he's in the main team. There are four of them.
Yes, therefore.
There's the two Emmanuels, Alex Ngeno, and
Yeah, go
Ferguson
ahead. What do you
Rotich.
think? What do you expect there?
First and foremost, Emmanuel Korir, is a championship guy. I think if you look, we have athletes, and I would put an example of Emmanuel Korir to Ezekiel Kimboy, who would not do so well during these Diamond League competitions. But when it comes to championships, they do very well, and that is Emmanuel Korir. And therefore, I think that team, but remember that we have put also Emmanuel Wanyonyi, who is very young, and he has posted a very fast time. Remember that Emmanuel Wanyonyi has the world leading time right now.
Right.
Yes.
Of course, he will be going to Hungary, with a lot of pressure because he has a world leading time. Everybody is looking at it. But what will be very important is for all of them to work so hard to make sure that at least they make to the finals.
Ferguson Rotich's name has a star, which means that it might be a reserve in the men's 800 meters. That's what I was trying to establish. So the main people there would be Emmanuel Korir, Emmanuel Wanyonyi, and Alex Kipngetich. But you're saying in the 800 meters with Emmanuel Wanyonyi having posted the world leading, having won in the last Diamond League race that he ran, he's very well prepared for it.
Absolutely. I mean, he's very much ready. But of course, he's going to be facing Emmanuel Korir, who is very good in 800 meters. And he has won Olympics, won World Championships as well. So definitely it's going to be a little bit tough.
800 meters women,
800 meters,
Mary
of course,
Moraa,
we have
Aina Matisia, and Vivian Kiprotich.
Yeah, and I think, if you look at Mary Moraa, she decided to run the 400 here, which was very good for her to conserve,
For speed.
Yeah, for speed, it's very, very important. But I think when you look at Penina and Vivian, these are, if you look at the time, because what I'm looking for myself when I look at the results, I look at the time that they were able to post. Doing 1:59:55 on high altitude, I can tell you that, that is somebody that is actually very good. Because for a very long time, we were having these people, they were doing 2 minutes, 2:01, but to be able to run 1:59, that is for Penina.
Okay.
For Penina Motisha.
There is one event that is evading the Kenyans nowadays, and that is the men's 3,000 meter steeplechase, the men's 5,000 meters, and the men's 10,000 meters. This has been taken over by the Ethiopians.
Well, and don't forget, we have the steeplechase, remember, that, has been really touching us. Of course, I've seen the time again that we have run 8:20, I think 8:20 with something, in when they were doing the trials. It's a little bit slow, when you run 8:20 something. I would have liked to see under 8:10, especially going towards the World Championships. Because otherwise, he's going to face the French guy who is very good and Moroccan. And also, don't forget that we have Ethiopians, as you have said, in the 5,000.
Soufiane El Bakkali will be one of the men to beat there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, but the thing is, those people who are in this team, they made the number 1 and 2, but with qualifying times as well. So we expect that they probably will up the game when they get there.
Yes, and I want to talk about the 10,000 meters. That is where we have a lot of hopes. Why do I
men or women?
Men.
Okay.
Men. Why do I say that? If you look at Daniel Kimeli, he has been representing the country for some time, but at least he was able. If you look at the time that he was able to.
But 10,000 meters doesn't have Daniel. It has Nicholas Kipkorir, Bernard Kibet, and Kibot Kandie.
No, we have Nicholas Kimeli who actually won.
I think you mean Kimeli.
Yes, Kimeli.
Yes,
I said Nicholas Kimeli, Daniel Epenyo, and Bernard Kibet. Daniel Epenyo, for example, is a distance runner that has been able to do half marathon sometimes, whereby he has built his energy, because if you run half marathon, then you can't run 10,000. You have put a lot of energy compared to everybody else. So I think with 10,000 this time around, we should be able to medal.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, then. We wish them all the best. The Kenya team to the World Athletics Championships has been named. They are already in residential training as per what we were told, so we expect the best to come from them. Let's move on then. Now, Tore Bobe is what has been the chant in the whole week, especially from the Gusii Nation, because the team Shabana made it to the Kenyan Premier League. But on top of making it to the Premier League, which of course they did with 4 matches to spare, they also won their last match and therefore won the National Super League. So they are the Super League champions, and by virtue of that, they've been promoted into the Kenyan Premier League. Now, there's been a lot of celebration in Kisii. There's been a lot of stories online. They're all supporting the team. They're very happy with them. But this last game almost didn't happen, They almost didn't happen because the other team, Moranga Seals, were almost going to get the points for free.
Yes, because Gusii had threatened not to show up, but they did show up.
They did.
They did.
At the very last moment, they did.
Yeah, and they drew that match. But Shabana were good enough, at least.
Shabana at least won theirs. Two goals to nil.
2 goals to nil. Now, I like the outpouring of support that Shabana has come with. Remember, even their coach, Sam Okoth, had said, with the troubles that they have undergone, he can't see how they are going to the Premier League. He will not go on with the job. But now, after winning the trophy, they have gotten a sponsor, a bank bet, and a number of the Kisii politicians have also come out strong.
No, don't take the word of the politicians.
Yeah, at least they have bank bet. At least they have bank bet. And then the good news is that Sami has already come up with his budgets for new players. He says he's going to get at least 10 new players.
Great. But that's the problem. We talked about that earlier on. They'll lose a good number of players because now they need to play at a different level altogether. But I'm looking more at how they won and where they are. I think we had a table of the NSL and where they are at the top and how many points they finished with. And I think it was a very good showing. And beating Kisumu All-Stars in that final match, it was very important for them. But 73 points, they were above everybody else. Nobody else got to 70. The nearest was Moranga Seal, who had 69, and then Migori Youth. Now, you know that Migori Youth are now going into a playoff as well.
Yes.
They're going to play off with Wazito, who's the third last in the Kenyan Premier League, to see who then remains. Wazito have evaded the relegation previously like that. Transmara Sugar was next. Then there was a host of other teams that came in after that. And I think the most important is just at the top. Now, when you look at the bottom again, then you see what has happened there. Silibwet, APS, Bomet, and Fortune Sacco just didn't turn up at all, so they didn't play any matches. But Kajiado, Vihiga United, and Silibwet, having played 32, could only manage 16 points. and 21 and 22. So basically, they are at the bottom of the log on that side. Okay, let's go on. And we talk about things that have changed a little bit in terms of what is going on in soccer. Now, you know that the team that wins the league plays the Champions League. And the team that is second in the Premier League then plays the Confederation Cup. Now, previously, what used to happen is the team that plays in the Champions League, if they lose in the first two preliminary matches, were allowed to take part in the Confederations Cup. Now, that has been scrapped. If they lose in the two preliminary rounds in the Champions League, they're out. Now that means that teams in the Confederations Cup will only compete among themselves. That's the new rule change, isn't it?
Yes, that's the new rule, Bernard. So what this portends for Gor Mahia is that because they are the ones who are in the Champions League, it means that when they get into the preliminaries, they must put their focus there and know that it is only the Champions League that's there for them. The Confederations Cup representatives, who in this case are Kakamega Homeboys, will play their preliminaries in August.
Yeah, let's just say they will not be pushed off by anything.
Not, yeah.
And this applies to all the teams. It's not just Gor Mahia.
Yes.
All the teams in Africa who have won the leagues will now know that if they lose, they do not have a cushion,
the cushion
in the Confederations Cup. Now, if you must remember very well, Gor Mahia actually did get into the group stages of the Confederations Cup in 2018-2019 after having been eliminated from the Champions League. But this time around, it's not guaranteed. I mean, it's not there at all. So they'll have to do better to be able to remain in there. Just quickly again, the Under-23 championships were held, finals were held again last weekend, and Morocco, as was expected, well, I expected Morocco to win. Captain, who did you say would win in that Under-23 finals? Did you say Morocco or Egypt? Ken says he said Morocco. I remember him saying Egypt very nicely. We have evidence here.
You see, okay, my point of thinking about Morocco is that, you know, the younger guys are inspired by the senior teams that they were able to perform very well, and I think, you know, that's why they are able to perform the way they are performing.
Correct. And their coach said he owes it all to discipline and hard work.
Yes.
And then he attributed it, of course, to the senior team as well and the motivation they got from them. So congratulations to the Moroccan team. They are the new. Of course, they've qualified for the Olympics by virtue of that as well. They had some very good results as well. They didn't lose any match in the entire championship. Now that's a very, very good showing for the Moroccan side. Well, again, we try to rush, but the time is always catching up with us, and we want to talk about the AfriBasket as well. We know for sure that Kenya has been knocked out this evening. They lost their match this evening in the quarterfinals, and so they will be out. Shall we just take that very quickly then? DR Congo were also playing. What were the results? Just quickly.
DR Congo beat Nigeria 74-72.